Hello everybody, my name is Adam Garance from the Susan and Mo team. As most of you know, I normally do Adam Garance's Fun with Real Estate on the road, but due to current circumstances, we are unable to continue the show at this time. So today I am here to bring you Fun with Real Estate from home. And with me today is my beautiful fiance, Caitlin O'Connor, who is a cook, and she is here today to help walk us through making one of our favorite dishes so that you home cooks can turn your home cooking into restaurant style. Let's get started. Alright, so today for you we are going to be making pan-seared salmon in a cast iron pan with coconut rice and bok choy. You can really use any vegetable for this particular dish. We just chose to use bok choy today. So Caitlin, tell us what is important to have when you are prepping a meal like this.
First off, you want to start out by gathering all your ingredients you're going to use. In the kitchen we call it mise en place, so it means put in place. That way everything's easy and accessible. Second off, you want to make sure your fish is fresh. You do that, you can tell by touching it. You want to make sure it's not slimy. You also want to smell it. Make sure it doesn't have like a super fishy odor to it. We're going to keep the skin on today, so you want to make sure that the scales aren't still on the fish. The other thing you're going to need is some seasoning. So today we've got salt. We're going to layer that through each step of the way. We've also got some ginger we'll add into the rice. Next up, you need a knife. You want to make sure you have a nice sharp knife. That way you're not putting too much pressure on your food and slipping and cutting yourself.
The most important part that you need to have when making a dish like this would be
wine.
Alright, perfect. Let's get started.
So first off, we want to heat our oven up. So I've set it to 350. While you start to heat your oven up, put your cast iron pan in the oven till you come up to temperature. And then we're going to get going on our rice because that's going to take the longest out of everything. So for our coconut rice, we're going to add coconut milk, 1 can, and 1 cup of water. So in here we actually have 2 cups of rice right now.
And we're gonna cook this covered and on high?
Covered and on high until it comes to a boil. But first we have to add some salt and the fresh ginger chop. I'm gonna add about a teaspoon of salt. Maybe a bit more. So lid on. And this element on high. Now that it's boiling, we're just gonna reduce the heat so it sits on a simmer for about 7 minutes. And then we'll turn off the heat. So next up, we want to start with our bok choy. What we're going to do is we're just going to cut it in half. We're going to leave the stems in, and then we're going to give it a rinse to make sure it's clean. So now that the bok choy is washed, we're going to season it. Here I have a sesame oil. It's going to add a nice flavor to it. We're going to add some salt and some pepper.
So Caitlin, what's the wine for?
That is a very good question. So cooking should be a fun thing. So what you want to do is have a nice glass of wine with you.
Cheers.
So our next step is to season the salmon. So since Adam has the apron on and looks part, he's going to walk us through seasoning it. First off, you're going to start with the olive oil. Right here we have dill flavored olive oil from Evolution. We're just going to put it over a couple drops across it on both of them and then rub it in the skin. And next up, we're gonna season it with our salmon seasoning.
This salmon seasoning is from a place called the Silk Road Merchant. It's a Canadian-based company in Calgary.
So just sprinkle it across the skin. You can be fairly generous with your seasoning.
How's it look?
Perfect.
So the salmon is now seasoned and our oven is about to be completely preheated. How do we cook it?
So next we're gonna take the cast iron out of the oven. We wanna make sure that we are using oven mitts or a towel as kitchen people do. And it's hard to remember for non-cooks. You wanna make sure that you know the handle's hot. So it's like a pan, but don't grab the handle because it's gonna be hot. So always use a towel, rag, oven mitt. There's that. I like to keep my rag just on, just so I know I don't instinctively grab it. First off, we're gonna put a bit of olive oil in the pan. And then we're gonna put our salmon in skin side down. Always make sure when you're putting it in, you wanna press it away from you. So you wanna turn your pan up to medium-high heat, just to kind of get the skin crisping. And then at this point, we can add our seasoning to the other side. So once your salmon starts sizzling away in the pan, we're gonna put it in the oven. We're gonna leave it in probably for about 2 minutes before we add our bok choy into the pan. Add in our bok choy. We're just gonna lay it down flat. And like Adam said, you can use any kind of veg. You can put broccoli around, peppers around, whatever you got. It's gonna take about 7 to 8 minutes. So one thing with salmon is you don't need to fully cook it all the way through. A lot of people do overcook salmon, so you wanna be careful of that.
Okay, so everything is now out of the oven. Rice is all cooked. Walk us through some important tips to properly plate a dish.
A picture is worth 1,000 words is what you always hear. So before you even start, you visually see it. So you wanna make sure your presentation actually looks really nice. So first off, we're gonna do the rice. So I'm using a 3/4 cup for the rice. So I'm just gonna fill it up with rice and put it down on the plate. It just helps to give some height, some nice clear lines on the plate. Next up, we're gonna put our salmon on. Now with the salmon, you wanna make sure that since you've crisped up your skin, you put it down face up. So the moisture of the heat from the salmon isn't overcooking and making the skin soggy at the bottom. Next up, you can just place your bok choy right on there, just off to the side. And as you can see here, we've got some nice color contrast as well as dark crispy skin. And then lastly, what you can do is wipe down the edge of the plate if you've got anything on it, just like that. And there you go.
Caitlin, that was awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for the video today. Yes, people, I do eat this well on a regular basis. It is one of the perks of having a cook as a fiance.
He's a lucky guy.
I sure am. Thank you so much once again. I hope you guys enjoyed this and it will teach you some new tricks to add to your culinary adventures at home. Stay safe, everyone. I am looking forward to eating this.
There you go.
Thank you.
Try it out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's dig in. Oh yeah. I make a mess too.